So turn to page 244, where we're going to look at example 4. And this is an excellent example for your assignment today. Example 3 is really a little more than you need, so that's why I'm skipping it. But if you look at example 4, it discusses the technique used in medicine where perhaps they need to mix something with something else to get what they need. In this case, a nurse wishes to obtain 800 milliliters of a 7% solution by mixing a 4% and a 12% solution. How much of each should be used? I realize this is in your textbook, but I feel like unless we talk it out, we won't be able to really understand it. So we're going to start with the fact that we're combining a 4% solution with a 12% solution to get something new that consists of 7%. Okay, so the quantities are expressed in milliliters, and the milliliters multiplied by the percentage of acidity actually do give us how many milliliters of acid in question. And we know that we want our grand total to be 800, according to the story. 800. To figure this out, if we assign x as a value to 1, then the other is simply 800 minus x, and we've talked about that before, how combining two items together in this manner produces a sum of what we're looking for. In order to multiply milliliters by percentage of acid, however, we have to use decimal for 4%, decimal for 12%, and decimal for 7%. So the product of the 4/400ths x looks like that. The product of the 12%, that's these two numbers, is going to look like that. And finally, this product right here, which is going to be 800 times 0.07. So an equation, after you would copy it all out, would be the 4% stuff added to the 12% stuff, giving me 800 milliliters of the 7%. So I'm going to write it out really quick. So the 4%, certain amount of milliliters, added to the 12%, the other portion, 800 minus x, has to equal whatever the product of 800 and 700ths is. So let's go ahead and get that really quick. Whoops, maybe I need to turn my calculator on first. So I came up with 56. Now, to clear your fractions, if you choose to do so, you can multiply this, this, and this by 100 to clear your fractions. If you don't like doing that, you certainly don't have to. But you don't multiply this thing by that because that would change everything. And I could have multiplied it just by this as well, but I'm working on clearing my fractions. I'm going to multiply it by 100. So that gives me 4x plus 12 times 800 minus x equals 5,600. Okay? After I multiply my 12 by 800 and by my negative x, I will end up with 9,600 minus 12x. And I can begin solving from there and start getting some information. Let's go ahead and combine our 12 negative and our 4 positive. And while we're at it, let's bring over our value there. So I now have negative 8x equals negative 4,000. So x's value is 500, and that applies to this. So I know the 4% is going to be 500, and I know that 800 minus 500 will give me my 12% value, which is 300. Let's see if the book agrees with me. Yes, okay. So that is example 4. I'd like to do one more example with you that I have. Quickly flip over here. And the next one I have is the same kind of thing, but it is how much pure alcohol must be added to 15 ounces of a 60% solution, and that's kind of standard for rubbing alcohol, to make it a 70% solution. How much pure alcohol must be added to 15 ounces of a 16% solution to change it to a 70% solution? So we've got two things going on, changing everything to something completely different. We're working in ounces, the other one was in milliliters, but we're still multiplying it by percentages to obtain a new type of alcohol. So I already know that I have 15 ounces, according to the story problem, of the 60% solution. And the question is, how much must I add of pure alcohol? Pure alcohol is 100% alcohol. Notice I'm just quickly converting these to whole numbers or decimals. Okay, so this is 60%, this is 100%. To create a 70% solution, so the quantity of the new is going to be whatever I add plus 15 to create that 70% solution. So that gives me, and that's 70%, 0.6 times 15 added to x times 1 equals 0.7 x plus 15. And you're going to solve this the same way you solved your other one. So if you have your calculator, you can start working it this way, or you can convert stuff to whole numbers. It's up to you. This one's not that hard. So 0.6 times 15 is 9 plus x is equal to 0.7x plus whatever that is times clear 0.7 times 15. Probably should have changed it all. Oh well, that's all right. 10.5. So I'm going to add my 7/10 over, and I'm going to subtract my 9. So 1.7x is equal to, what is that, 1.5? Well, let's see what that ends up looking like. No, wait a minute. 10.5 times 9. I made a mistake somewhere. 9.7 times 15. Oh, I should have subtracted. Goofy woman.